This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. Hope everybody out there is having a great day. Coming up, little Niners reaction. Rich Eisen listed San Francisco as one of his 5 biggest sleeper teams going into the 2025 season. I have a lot of thoughts with what he had to say, and of course, as we always do, I'm going to add to it. I do want to start here, though. Who is your favorite current Niners player? I have asked this question before. Who's your favorite Niners player of all time? Let's limit it down a little bit, and I want to challenge you. Current Niner player on this roster, who is your favorite? Let me know down in the comment section right now. So Rich Eisen of The Rich Eisen Show, of course a host for the NFL Network, listed off his 5 biggest sleeper teams heading into the 2025 season, and the 49ers are actually the number 1 sleeper team on his list. He revealed these from 5 to 1. So the New Orleans Saints at number 5, New England Patriots at number 4, Carolina Panthers at number 3, Las Vegas Raiders at number 2, and then the Niners at number 1. I don't think the Saints are going to be good this year. I think they have way too many quarterback questions, and that roster doesn't have a lot of upper echelon talent or depth. I do think the New England Patriots are going to be one of those teams who were awful a year ago, but end up making the playoffs in the AFC. I think with the emergence of Bryce Young and how he came on last year, back half of the year, he played better than C.J. Stroud. And I think that with him and Dave Canales, some of the draft picks that they have selected over the last few years, that roster is starting to improve a little bit in a down division. I think Carolina is one of those teams that could surprise people in this way, where they hover around 500. For the Las Vegas Raiders, all of the moves they have made scream that they think that they can win right now. Trading for Geno Smith, drafting Ashton Genty, a running back, inside the top 10. I think they're going to lean heavily on that ground game. Geno Smith is really good off the play action, but they also hired Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll doesn't want to have to deal with a rebuild over the next few years. So I think the Raiders, like the Panthers, are going to be competitive, but I don't think either of those teams make the playoffs. So not a bad list here from Rich Eisen. Of course, the purpose of today's show, talking about the Niners. And Rich Eisen had said, people are wondering, how can the Niners be a sleeper team? Rich, this is a team that made it to the Super Bowl 2 years ago in 2023. Well, in 2024, what happened? San Francisco went 6-11. They lost 7 of their last 8, and they were a last-place team inside the NFC West. Here's partially what Eisen said about the Niners. Everybody is sleeping on San Francisco. Purdy is not worth the money. McCaffrey is not going to be healthy. Trent Williams won't be healthy either. Brandon Aiyuk won't be healthy. What are Jennings and Pearsall going to do? Who's going to run the ball if McCaffrey gets hurt? Half their defense left. Vegas might not be sleeping on them. But look across the landscape of shows like this. So what he said about Vegas is very interesting too, because the Niners right now are the odds-on favorites to win the NFC West. San Francisco, regardless of what book you look at, are in the top 6 of odds for teams to win Super Bowl 60, which happens to be at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. And let me just add to what Eisen had to say, because I agree. I think the Niners are a sleeper team. I think they're going to reverse that record, go from 6-11 to 11-6, and I think that they can be a contender in the NFC and win the NFC West. The Niners did lose a lot of players in free agency. They also traded away Deebo Samuel. So there's no doubt that this Niners team is going to look a lot different, but a lot of people don't factor this in. Many of the marquee players who the Niners lost didn't play a lot in 2024. Charvarius Ward, in and out of the lineup. Thoughts and prayers to his family. Talanoa Hufanga barely played. Dre Greenlaw played a half and a couple of snaps. Aaron Banks, he played left guard and he played a decent amount of the season, but he also missed a couple of games toward the end, and he was really just an average player. And so, yeah, San Francisco lost a lot of big names, but they didn't have big roles or contributions on this team in 2024. You trade away Deebo Samuel. I think that makes the offense better. You don't have to force feed him the ball. Instead, George Kittle becomes more of a part of the pass game. He has a great on-field relationship and camaraderie working with Brock Purdy. And I think Purdy is at his best when he can play point guard and spread the ball out all over the yard. And so you trade away Debo, who is older, out of shape, starting to become a little bit slower. I think that can actually improve your team. And then on defense, you lose all these players, but you do get younger, more athletic, more physically imposing. There's also this, right? A lot of people have lost sight of the fact that the Niners are still one of the most talented teams in the entire NFL. That 2023 team that did not win the Super Bowl, one of the best teams in the history of the league that didn't bring home a Lombardi trophy. Should have beat Kansas City, lost in overtime, shot themselves in the foot on multiple occasions. Should have won that game. But a lot of the players on this Niners team now were on that team, and you canvass this roster right now. Trent Williams, one of the best offensive tackles of all time. Christian McCaffrey, like Trent Williams, potential Hall of Famer. George Kittle, Hall of Famer. Brandon Aiyuk comes back. He was an All-Pro 2 years ago. Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, they have a lot of ability. Demarcus Robinson, he's another good player on this team. Brock Purdy is right in that range of being a top 10 quarterback. You have Isaac Guerendo behind Christian McCaffrey. You have Dominic Puni at right guard. You have Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Diamador Lenore, Renardo Green, Malik Mustafa on the defensive side of the ball. Fred Warner is one of the best overall defensive players in the game today. And so there's a lot of talent on this Niners team. The 49ers coaching staff is also one of the best in the NFL. You'd be hard-pressed to find a team that has an offensive coordinator and a play caller, like Kyle Shanahan, who obviously is also the head coach, a defensive coordinator to the level of Robert Saleh, and Brant Boyer has been one of the most accomplished special teams coordinators in the NFL over the last several years. Now, no doubt, health will be a major factor for the Niners in 2025, especially with Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. If Trent Williams were to miss time, the backup offensive tackle position and situation is not great. Christian McCaffrey changes the dynamic and the complexion of this Niners offense. But since Kyle Shanahan came to the Niners in 2017, think about all of the running backs who have been steady contributors for this team. Think about how successful the run game has been with the likes of Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason. Kyle Shanahan can find success running the ball, even if Christian McCaffrey is hurt or in and out of the lineup. Isaac Guerendo, Jordan James, those are capable running backs who are very talented. Now, you think about how much Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams can boost this offense. Look, if they stay healthy, what a massive positive for the Niners. And that could go a long way in them being a surprise team this year because of how great they are as individual players. The Niners are a completely different team with them on the field as compared to them being off the field. But throughout the course of NFL history, when you speak about injuries, injury misfortune usually doesn't hit you hard or crush you in consecutive years. Last year, I think, was an anomaly. The Niners were so banged up. The number 2 most injured offense in the NFL, one of the most injured teams in the NFL. I don't see that happening year over year, which also taps into how the Niners can be a surprise team this year. San Francisco also has the easiest schedule in the NFL based upon Vegas forecasted win totals and combined winning percentages from teams a year ago. Having an easier schedule is a huge advantage. There's also this, which is a huge advantage. It's that the Niners don't have to deal with one of the biggest rest disadvantages in the history of the NFL. Last year, it was what, minus 29 to minus 31. It fluctuated a little bit. That was coming off a year where the Niners played in the Super Bowl and mentally and physically they were fatigued. Now they're going to have more rest on their side, which can easily lead to better results. And you look at how the Niners fared in 2024. Despite being the second most injured offense in the league, they were the 4th overall offense in the NFL. Points per game is going to get better than 22.9. Yards per play was still number 2 in the league at 6.2 last year. They were 9th on third downs. They were 14th in the red zone. That can improve. On defense, I just think that Robert Saleh is going to be able to have a profound impact in helping the Niners improve from being the 29th scoring defense in the NFL They were 8th in yards per game and 7th in yards per play, but they have to improve on third downs and in the red zone, 24th and 31st there. But I think that Saleh can do that. And I think that Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy bounce back. And I know that Purdy had a down year last year. He was very up and down. He still fared very well in these following categories, despite having such a banged-up offense and the defense and special teams units not doing him any favors. He was number 2 among all quarterbacks in explosive rating, number 2 in passer rating against zone, number 3 in yards per attempt, number 3 in pressure completion percentage, number 4 in success rate, number 5 in EPA per attempt, 6th in QBR. Everybody wants to say he doesn't throw the long ball. He was 8th in deep ball completion rate. So those are the reasons why I do think that the Niners can be a surprise team in the NFL in 2025, and I agree with Rich Eisen. Now, before we continue to push forward on today's show, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Rookies report to Santa Clara for the start of camp July 15th. Training camp gets underway with veterans attending July 22nd. It's going to be here before we know it, and I always have you covered with the best Niners coverage right here on YouTube. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Chubbies. It's warm outside. Summer is officially here. Up your fashion game and enhance your wardrobe with our sponsor, Chubbies. And don't miss out on this phenomenal deal. 20% off your purchase at chubbyshorts.com/chat. And when you use the code chat, that's how that discount applies. They'll also know that Chase Senior, the 49ers Report, and Chat Sports sent you. Chubbies has comfy, casual, built-for-life gear, including the Chubbies Original Stretch Shorts, which is what I'm wearing right now. They will live on your legs. Available in a couple of different looks and sizes, long, short, and waist short. They have a relaxed fit, elastic waistband, no-fuss design. These are the kinds of shorts you'll forget you're wearing until you get an onslaught of high fives and compliments. You can pair those shorts with a great Chubbies Performance polo, and then you're good to go. You can wear this polo out to the golf course, a date, getting some drinks with your friends. You're hanging out by a pool, lake, beach. Speaking of being by the water, their classic line swim trunks are elite. I also really like their color schemes, their patterns. But if you want to keep it neutral, you can rock something white and simple like this. So whether you're suiting up for cannonballs, cookouts, or casual Fridays, Chubbies always has your back. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off your order when you use our code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. That's code CHAT at chubbyshorts.com/chat. Support our show. Let them know that we sent you. Summer's here. Dress like it in Chubbies. So I listed the reasons, among many, why I think the Niners can be a surprise team this year, why they might not be a surprise team, why they could struggle. And if you're on that side of the spectrum, I certainly see where you're coming from, right? Niners have to replace key players. That is never easy for any team year over year to have a lot of roster turnover. The depth at offensive tackle is a concern. If Trent Williams were to go down, Austin Pleasance would have to step in. Maybe Andre Dillard. The gap between Trent Williams and them, it's large. The Niners will also be relying on 5 rookie draft picks on defense. Michael Williams, C.J. West, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, and Upton Stout. While I really like those players, there's going to be a learning curve. There will be some bumps in the road for their development. I think that they can be contributors for this team right away. They're all experienced players from the college level, but the NFL is really hard, and the Niners will need those players to play sizable roles. It's not an easy ask. The depth along the defensive line is a little bit of an issue, but if you hit on those draft picks, it goes a long way in solving that. The Niners do have issues at the linebacker spot. Fred Warner, best off-ball linebacker in the game. Can D. Winters take a leap? Can Nick Martin play? Quarterback depth, also a concern. What happens if Diamador Lenore or Renardo Green got hurt? Who steps in? Darrell Luter Jr.? Unproven. Trey Brown? Hasn't worked out. I like the starting 3. Upton Stout on the inside, Lenore, Green on the outside, but the depth, it's a little bit shaky. There are also question marks at safety. When will Malik Mustafa come back off that ACL surgery? Jair Brown had to undergo that ankle cleanup procedure this offseason. Can Richie Grant and Jason Pinnock play well? I like them as backups, but what if they have to start? We also have no idea what we're going to get from Jake Moody. Has he completely lost his confidence? Does he just stink like he did last year? Or can he get back on the right track with a new long snapper and a new special teams coordinator? With this coaching staff, with this easy schedule, with the Niners' pedigree, which matters though, I think San Francisco bounces back, and I think the Niners are a surprise team that ends up making the playoffs. Don't forget to give me a follow on social media. You can find me on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I'm reaching millions of people over there like we continue to reach millions right here.